Hi, Net Neighbors. Today we're going to talk about Google Analytics. If you have a website, this is a powerful tool that you should be using. So sit back, relax, and let's get to some learning. Okay, so Google Analytics. What the heck is it? Well, that's what we're here to learn today. So today we're going to talk about what is Google Analytics, how do you get to it, and what does having it mean for you? And there's going to be a lot of data I'm going to throw at you. Don't worry about all that data. The data is going to come in time. What we're really concerned about is how to use it and how to make the most of it. So Google Analytics is a very, very powerful tool. If you're not using it on your website right now, that's okay. But I do recommend that you use it or something like it. I know there are some other analytics packages out there, and if you're using one, that's okay too. One of the reasons why Google Analytics is so good is because it's Google and it's already interacting with everything else on the planet as it is. But I understand if you would prefer to use something else. So what it does is it allows you to replace something that you have lost and you don't even realize you've lost it. And that is the customer interaction aspect of your business. If you had a brick and mortar business, it'd be really easy to know what your customers want. You would know when they come in, what they buy, how long do they stay in your store, what parts of your store are they going to. You can watch them do it. You've got cameras. It's really easy. The problem with the internet is it's much harder to track people on the internet, TV notwithstanding. So services such as Google Analytics allow you to replicate that in-person experience. You can see where your customers are visiting your website. How long are they staying there? Are they coming in and immediately leaving? Are they spending a couple of minutes on this one video that you never really expected them to spend time on? Or are they spending time on those things that you worked on a lot? Now, getting to Google Analytics is really, really easy. If you have a Gmail account, all you need to do is go to analytics.google.com, or let's be honest, Google Analytics. And you'll just make an analytics account and build it out from there. What's great, what I love about Google Analytics is that there is an app for your phone, both for iOS and Android. Make your analytics account first, then worry about the app versions. You will have to connect Google Analytics to your website, and I will show you where that little bit of code you need to make the connection. So Google Analytics works via cookies. So if you've ever gone to a website and it said, hey, we're using cookies, do you accept the cookies? What they're really asking you is, hey, are you going to accept our Google Analytics? Can we use your information to help us learn more about you and other customers? If you agree, then the cookies are placed onto your computer. And really all the cookie is a little bit of code that you, the website designer, embed in the heading of your website. I'll even show you how to spot some Google Analytics for other people's websites just to see what's going on. Now, just so that you are aware, Google Analytics has recently updated all of their systems. If you have been using Google Analytics, it's not a problem. If you're going to start after today, then what you need to know is that there is a new way Google tracks information. There is the old way still available, and I recommend using the old way. There's actually a third method where you can use both the new and the old way, and that's probably going to be the best way. And we'll go over how to create one of those here in a few. But the older method is still used on most websites because it's just changed. So if you're using something like WordPress or Wix that hasn't updated all of their systems yet, go with the third option of having both the new and the old. Working with Google Analytics. What the heck does all of this stuff mean? In fact, if you're looking at the screen right now, you will see the kinds of screens that you can expect from Google Analytics. A lot of charts, a lot of bar graphs, even some pie charts if that's your thing. But there's a lot of information, and it's very easy to just get lost in the noise. So let's figure some of this stuff out. Before we dive into the data, there are some key terms that you need to understand. And those are metrics, which this is all the quantitative data, meaning these are numbers, hard numbers. How many people walked into your building? That's a metric. What is great about metrics is they represent the big picture so that you can see an overhead view of what's going on. We can then use metrics to dive in further, but metrics are really big picture stuff. And they're, of course, because they're numbers, very countable. And I'll show you what metrics are going to look like in your Google Analytics account. The kinds of things that we can expect to see: page views, average load time, sessions users, and the two that we're going to focus on today are the bounce rate and conversion rate, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. The other key term is dimensions. Dimensions are qualitative data, meaning that it provides some focus and insight into the numbers that we're getting from our metrics. And in that way, they're breaking them down. Allows us to make comparisons. How many people came into your shop on Monday versus how many people came into your shop on Tuesday? The dimensions are going to be what day of the week they're coming. The metric is just the overall number of people. So these kinds of things are going to be what kind of devices are people using, the page, the landing page, browser. Honestly, of these, the things that I think you need to focus on the most as a new user is device type and campaign. So campaign is going to be if you're pushing a new product and you're putting out a whole bunch of new advertising, so you're going to be your advertising campaign. Device type, very vital. If you are looking at your website and you are someone who really likes your desktop version of the website, that's fine. But if you look into the dimensional data and you find out that most of the people going to your website are using their phone, then you need to make sure that your website looks good on the phone. Because if it doesn't, then you're going to lose customers, and that's money right out of your pocket. Now, here is what metrics and dimensions are going to look like within Google Analytics. Here we have over on the left the various dimensions, at least some of them. And we can see that these dimensions are different browsers that people are using to visit a website. And currently, with the way the data is aligned, the browser that has the most traffic coming to the website is Chrome, with 11,000 users in total and 9,000 new users. New users are usually people who haven't been there within a certain period of time. Now, we can go down each individual row, each Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and see the data. That data is our metrics, and they are running across. Notice right now that the users column has a little arrow. So that's what everything is being filtered through. If you wanted to look at the bounce rate, well, then you could click on the bounce rate column and suddenly everything is put in perspective of which browser has the highest bounce rate. And if you don't know what bounce rate is, that's okay. We're about to go into that. So, major metrics. This is where we get our bounce rate. And bounce rate is people who have come into your website and then immediately left. Think of someone walking into your brick and mortar store, looks inside real quick, closes the door, walks away. That's a bounce rate. That's a bounce. So the bounce rate is a measure of how many people have bounced. Good rules of thumb, if you have an above 50% bounce rate, that's probably a bad thing. The further above 50, the worse it is, because you want people to stay in your website. If they're just coming in and leaving, that's a problem. If it's around 50% plus or minus, you're okay. Keep working on it, but it's something that it's a good foundation. And if you're below 50% substantially, like let's say you're at 30%, that's a great bounce rate. I would love to have that bounce rate, to be honest. So keep an eye on that. There are really easy things that you can do to increase your bounce rate, to decrease your bounce rate. Instead of putting all of the content that will take someone elsewhere on your front page, put it a little bit deeper in. Make a page that is just links so that they have to go to that page before they leave. Don't put all of your outbound links on the front page unless you're capturing the data from another source. So if, let's say, one of the outbound links is to YouTube, then you're capturing the data on YouTube. But even then, they've clicked on something on your page. Now, bounce rate's really, really easy to measure. It does it itself. What's a little bit harder to measure is what is known as the conversion rate. Conversions are any time someone has performed a task you wanted them to. So it's not enough for them to come into your building. You want them to go to the back counter and pick something up. Anytime someone does that task, they have converted. The better your conversion rate, the more likely people are to be doing things in your store, to buy your product, whatever you're trying to do. So conversion rate is the number of visitors who meet the goal you set. Now, notice I said you set. Conversion rate when you first get Google Analytics is going to be 0 because Google does not know what you consider a success condition. It can measure bounce rate and that's fine because it just knows someone's come in, someone's left, okay. Conversions though, if it doesn't know that you want everybody to click on your subscribe page, it can't track that. So you'll have to tell it what's a good conversion. Better your conversions, the more money you're going to be getting. So now that we know some of these key terms, let's look at the reports that Google Analytics are going to provide you. Now, I am going to do a very brief bird's eye view of these reports. We'll dive in a little bit more in a little bit when I go live, but honestly, there's just a lot of data here and it's too much to go into even in, let's say, the old style classes of 90 minutes. It's just a lot of information. So reports come in 5 major areas: real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and then conversions. So these are the 5 major report areas that you're going to be looking at and that we're going to talk about today. So real-time. This is the one that is both really nice to look at and is extraordinarily deceptive. My advice to you is only really look at your real-time data when you've launched a product. So let's say you've spent the last 2 months hyping up your new widget. It's the best new widget ever, and it's going to be on sale on your website for $1.95. Okay. Your website, the widget's launching today. Today is when you need to be looking at your real time so that you can see how many people are coming in thanks to your advertising and buying your widget. Tomorrow, a week from now, don't worry about the real time, because what you're doing is you're trying to capture people in real time right now. It would be as if you were walking up to everybody who came into your business and said, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? What do you want to do? It's going to turn people off. And if it doesn't turn people off, it's going to give you a wrong idea of what's going on. So good, but deceptive. We need long-term trends. Something that's happening right now isn't going to tell me much about what's happening over the course of the next month or two. And that's what I need to know to plan out for 6 months, a year, whatever. So trends are good, real time, not so much. Audience, here's where we start getting into some good information. This lets you know who are your users, what is their gender, where are they coming from, what kind of devices are they using. All important information to help you build your brand. Also, it's going to help you see where problems are. So you will be able to track them through your website as they click on individual pages. If you see that one of the pages has a really long loading time, or that particular page has a huge bounce rate, then we can go into that web page on our phone, on our computer, and say, oh, good Lord, this looks horrible. No wonder they keep leaving. Always good to know. Acquisitions. This is measuring how did people get to you? What caught their eye? Do you have a guy standing outside your live store in a chicken costume dancing around saying, I've got free margaritas? That's an acquisition if someone came in based off of that. Same thing if you had a Facebook ad or a Twitter ad or something like that. Any way they come into your website is an acquisition. This allows you to track how successful your ads are, because Facebook ads are $5 a day. You don't want to spend a couple of $100s on Facebook ads and then it turns out that nobody clicked on the ad to go to your website. This is what acquisitions is going to help you determine. Behavior. This allows us to look at how people are interacting with your website once they get there. Are they clicking on this link or that link? Are they hovering? Are they staying on one page a lot? Or are they quickly leaving that page and going to another one? These are all things that we need to know and will help us better build out the website. Site content is a really good page here within behavior to look at because it helps you track what's going on, and it takes that great big bounce rate number and starts splitting it up to the individual pages of your site so that you can see, okay, they're surfing really great. They're going to each individual page. They're staying there for a couple of minutes, and then they get to the contact us page and suddenly they're gone. They're not clicking on anything on the page. They're just gone. Why? Well, we can look, we can see what's going on, and we can find out. Now, to do deeper dives, you're going to have to add some extra JavaScript to each one of your pages. You could have one on just the home page, and that'll just tell you, hey, people have come to your home page, meaning people have walked into the door, but you don't know what they're doing past that. By adding the JavaScript throughout, they'll be able to track you. Conversions. So this is the report that's going to be blank for the most part until you give information. It's hardest to track because it doesn't know what to track until you tell it. So you're going to have to set up your goals, and you're going to have to think about your business and determine what are your goals. Maybe you don't have any goals. You want people to come and say hi. Maybe you want people to buy your stuff. I don't know what your goal is. Figure out what your goals are, then set up a conversion for it. And here we are inside of Google Analytics. Now, this is not going to be what you see when you get your analytics. You're not going to get automatically 14,000 users. Believe me, I would love that for my site. What we're looking at is a dummy account created by Google Analytics to allow us to play with it, to see what's going on with actual data. So this is actually feeding in from a web store that Google has set up and people are buying from. Now, you can access this by going to Google and typing Google Analytics demo account. And then you choose the demo account, Analytics Help, and then further down, somewhere here. Oh, access demo account. And then once you have Google Analytics set up, click on that and it will add it to your analytics section. So that's how I got the demo account and all of this extra information here. So in the account, we have different properties. Each property, you can have multiple properties for your thing if there are multiple areas you want to track. Within a property, you have different ways of viewing the data. So maybe you want everything set up one way for a master overall view, but then you want someone in your department to be able to view it in a different way. That's what you would set up a different view for. So I'm just going to stick with my master view here. And I'm going to come down here to the bottom on the left and choose admin. This is where I can create a new account and I can create a new property. So by creating a new property, this is where you're going to be able to get the option of having two different kinds of tracking. So I'm going to come here to tracking info and I want the tracking code. And then it'll be a moment while it loads all the information. And here is the global site tag. This is the Google Analytics JavaScript that you will put on your website. You'll just select all of this, copy it, and paste it. And notice here in the JavaScript that I have selected, you see the UA, Universal Analytics Code. It's right down here near the bottom where my mouse is right now. Also up here is the tracking ID. So you could, if you wanted to, or your configuration just had the ability to just select the tracking ID and add it, you could do it that way, or you could grab the global site tag. It's really up to you. Now, let's go back into our data. Now, remember, when you're using this, you're pulling in a lot of information. So the speed at which this loads is going to be dependent on your connection and how much data it's pulling. So here we can see the current active users of the website that this is connected to. We can also come down and see different traffic channels so that we can see how people are coming in. Are they coming through direct, paid search, affiliates, whatever. Paid search, let me see if I can get something like that real quick. There we go. So anytime you look something up on Google, if you see this button here where it says add, if I was to click on this link, it would take me to the standard Adobe Premiere Pro link. But in my Google Analytics, it would show up here as a paid search result. So that allows me to see that my money has been worth it. What I really like, just because I like how it looks, is this users by time of day, and it measures it from the last 30 days. So the darker the color gets, the more views and more users during that time. So we can see that just from this color map, a lot of people are visiting the website Mondays and Tuesdays between, let's say 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. So basically, while people are at work, they're visiting our website, and then it slowly trickles off during the day, during the week. And we know probably that the best time to launch our product is then within this area of darkness. Yours is going to be different. Sessions by country, we can see who's coming to our website. Which countries has the most people? Well, United States of America with 7,050. I know that because it tells me right there. Well, how many people are coming from Australia? Only 151. So I'll click on that and nothing happens. That's okay. So let's go to the real-time report. And we won't go through all of these reports just because we don't have the time, and a lot of them are repetitious. But let's look at real-time. And we'll click real-time and then overview. And so now we can see the exact number of people who are on our website right now, 30. And as we go through, we can see how many people are coming in and leaving over time. Also, under our right now, we can see how many people are using desktops or mobile devices or tablets, and it breaks it down right there. So we know, at least from the right now data, that desktop is a good bet for our website design. But remember, just as we've seen this number change a couple of times already, we don't want to rely on this data too much. It's just a nice thing to have as a snapshot of right now. And we can also see where all these people are coming from. And I'm going to click on an area, and there we go. So I can see how many people are from different areas of the country. So there's one active user in Sandy Springs. Let's go to audience. So here we can start knowing a little bit more about our customers. We can see how they're coming in, and then how the numbers are dropping over time and then picking back up. So January 23rd was a lower day, and what we can see is that's a Saturday. And it picks up as we go through Wednesday, and I bet it really picks up on Monday. Yeah. And this is kind of showing us in a different form what that map of that little grid I was showing you earlier is telling us. So we've got a lot of new users, and new users are good. We also want returning users. So we want to make sure that this user is going up. Our bounce rate is 53%. It's a little above 50, so I would say we need to work on it some, but it's not so much above 50 that I'm really worrying. We can also see from this data how long people are staying on an individual page. So we've got 4 pages per session. Average duration of our sessions is 3 minutes, so not too bad. Probably they come in, they find what they want, and they leave. Number of sessions per user, 1.22. I probably would want to bring that up as well, because I want people to be coming back and using my site more than once. We can see various languages of people who are coming in, and notice that we have English US, English Great Britain. So we have English for 2 different countries, and then we have English Canadian and English English. This EN with no modifier is telling us they couldn't figure out what country they were coming from. They just knew the person was speaking English. So we could combine those and really find out how many English speakers there are, and we can see that there's a lot. I want to know browser. So I'll just click on my browser under system, and we can see Chrome by far the most used browser out there. And I bet if I went into operating system, Windows is at the lead. That's nice. Then followed by Macintosh, Android, and then iOS. So always something to consider. How many people are coming to your website from certain systems? If you've got a lot of Macintosh people, you might be attracting a more upscale clientele. I don't know. We've got some Xbox people coming in here too. That's a little interesting. Now, come in here and go to technology. Let's go to mobile overview. And we can see here, there are the 3 dimensions: desktop, mobile, and tablet. And then we can see the various metrics going across. Acquisition, I want to look at this. I want to know how people are coming to my website. Okay, so we've got a lot of, in our acquisition, a lot of our users are coming in direct. That means that they had the web address and they went to that web address. Paid search, affiliates, display, referral, organic search. There's not a lot of people coming in through Google to this Google site. They're clicking in through a link, or they are directly putting it in the system. So means I might need to bump up my Google search engine optimization. Maybe see if I can get that organic search up a little bit higher. Okay, and that's it for Google Analytics today. Stay tuned for more information about websites and how you can make the most out of your business in the videos to come here in the Net Neighborhood. Make sure, if you like today's video, click that like button down below. If you think someone could get some benefit out of this, share it with them. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, be sure to click subscribe. That way you'll always know what's happening next here in the Net Neighborhood. Have a good day, have fun, find adventure, and stay safe.